which also, once I get it where I want it, I'll make one light pass in the vertical position to get rid of those marks.
Spend the holidays in the turn of the century. Home and Garden Television invites you to Christmas at Biltmore Estate. Host Joan Cohn takes you through America's most glorious mansion for a look at the fantastic Christmas celebration. Christmas at Biltmore Estate.
Sunday at 5 Eastern on HGTV.
If you hate cords tripping you up, you'll love Conair's convenient Cord Keeper Dryer. The Cord Keeper Dryer. Another Conair first. It's the one to wind up with. Now in travel size.
Betty Crocker knows how to make them flip. Lighter, fluffier Bisquick pancakes. Because when it comes to great pancakes, Betty knows best.
Here's a quick look behind the scenes of HGTV's new fast-action, fast-paced show, The Fix. Remember that project that you did that you thought was going to be so tough?
Well, it turned out to be very easy.
And how good you felt?
You have the power to do this. So let's do it to it.
The Fix.
Today at 9 Eastern on HGTV Weekend Mornings.
You're watching New Yankee Workshop, part of HGTV Weekend Mornings. Serious building, remodeling, gardening, and landscaping.
The back of the bench is perhaps the most distinctive element. It's made up of two pieces. They're mirror images of one another, and they're not bad to make. I laid out the pattern on some poster board and then transferred it to my blank of wood. Now it's back to the bandsaw. I like to make a series of cuts along the inside radius areas so that it relieves any pressure as I make the final cut. Now, I've carefully removed one of the front legs to show you the mortises. At the bottom, there's a front stretcher and a side stretcher. So I need one mortise here and one on the back side. I also have at the top a rail and a seat support. So there's a mortise on the edge and also on the back. To lay out the mortises, this is where my full-size pattern comes in real handy. I take the blank that I made, align it at the bottom, and then using a combination square, I can transfer the marks for the mortises. And also flip it over and bring the lines around. To mark the sides of each mortise, I'm going to use this marking gauge. It has a scale on it and a guide. And the first setting I want is 5/16 of an inch. Now, there's a steel pin with a very sharp point on it, and what that does is it scores a mark in the wood. Okay, now the other side of that mortise is going to be at 1 1/16 inches. Here's the leg from the prototype with the mortises already cut. And here's my poster board pattern, which you can actually see was made from an old New Yankee Workshop cue card. The mortises are laid out. This center corresponding to this one to this one, and so forth. Now I'll take the pattern, set it on my blank, mark the centers with my awl, and we'll be ready to start cutting mortises. Now I've made an adjustment to the fence to make the mortise the correct width. Now here I'm set up to make just a 1/2 inch square mortise for those armrest pieces. Now let's remove one of the back legs on the prototype and look at the mortises. This mortise for the lower stretcher, this mortise up here for this lower rail, and the two small mortises for the decorative back pieces are made at 90 degrees to this face of the leg. They go straight in. But on this side, it's a little different. This lower mortise for the lower stretcher, this mortise, as well as the two small mortises for the armrest pieces, are not 90 degrees to the face, but rather cut in at an angle. For the upper pieces, the angle is 10 degrees. For the lower stretcher, the angle is 12. Now, my mortising machine does not have a tilting table. So to cut that mortise, I made a wedge. And that wedge will allow me to position the piece so that the cutter will come down right along that angle that I want. So as long as I slide the wedge as I cut the mortise, it'll come out perfect. Now I'm going to switch to my wedge that'll give me the 12-degree angle for the mortise of my stretcher. Okay, now that finishes the angled mortises. Now I'll just flip it on the side and do the 90-degree mortises. The legs are connected to the decorative backrest with tenons. Now, believe it or not, it's easier to cut those tenons by hand using a back saw. So I've mounted the leg that I've been working on with the layout complete, and the first thing I'll do is make this shoulder cut.
Why wait till January 1st to make your New Year's resolution? Make it now and look great during the holidays. Announcing the Jenny Craig Happy Holiday Special. Join Jenny Craig now and lose 10 pounds for just $10 plus the cost of food. Call 1-800-45-JENNY now and ask about our Happy Holiday Special. That's 1-800-45-JENNY. Don't wait, because this offer ends when the holidays begin.
If your tools are looking a little more rusty than trusty, turn to the folks in the Red Vest. They've got a wide variety, including Ace brand hand tools, built tough with a lifetime warranty. That's what makes Ace the place for the helpful hardware folks.
Imagine more HGTV building and remodeling than you ever thought possible at HGTV.com. More ideas, more information, and more inspiration when you explore our new Home and Garden Village. It's all at HGTV.com.
Porter cable belt sanders are used by the world's foremost woodworkers. Our routers are found in fine cabinet shops everywhere. The frame saw is the lightest, most powerful circular saw available, and our cordless drills have power to spare. Fact is, Porter cable builds the perfect tool for any woodworking project, and some projects that hardly involve wood at all. Porter cable power tools when you're truly passionate about your work.
Come on, Woody, I got work to do. Come on, buddy, get out there.
It's a cat, Woody. It's a cat.
Comfort Therm insulation from John's Manville is wrapped in plastic.
The mailman. Go get the mailman.
So you don't have to worry about itching.
I know, let me get you down.
Which means it's easy to install.
What?
If you ever get to that point, Comfort Therm from John's Manville. You don't have to worry about itching. Available at home improvement centers.
Let's say the puppy's a salesperson in an average computer store. Now, ask the salesperson the question.
What's the difference between DVD and CD-ROM? How much RAM do I really need? Oh, and can you guys install software? Okay, thanks.
We built a different place to buy a computer. Gateway Country, staffed with trained people who'll have a computer built just for you, starting as low as $9.99. Gateway Country. Get more out of the box. Drop by any store or call 1-800-GATEWAY.
Okay, here's our plan to help businesses handle the holiday rush with priority mail. We'll add extra planes. That should help a lot. We'll add extra trucks. That should help a lot, too. We'll add extra people. A lot more help than any other shipper. But priority mail doesn't cost a lot. Just $3. So, what's your priority?
The techniques for making the center leg are the same as the end legs, but there are a couple differences. The mortise for the cross stretcher is a little bit higher. There are 4 extra mortises for back slats, and of course this top tenon is a little bit longer. Now let me show you how I go about making these seat supports. At the front of each support there is a tenon, and that tenon is 90 degrees to the bottom of the support. But at the back, it's not 90 degrees, it's 100 degrees. To start forming the tenon, I'm first going to make the shoulder cuts. So I've set up a gauge block, which will give me a 1-inch long tenon. Now for the angled end of my seat support, I'm going to have to swing my miter gauge to 10 degrees to make that first cut. Now to make the shoulder cut on the opposite side, I'm going to have to swing my miter gauge to 10 degrees on the other side of 0. And for the miter cuts on the square end, we just set it at 0. Now next, we'll nibble away the top and bottom of each tenon on the square end of the seat rest. Now I'm going to tip the blade to 10 degrees and nibble away the top and bottom of the tenon on the angled end. To make the cheek cuts on the tenons, I'm using my tenoning jig. Now, using my full-scale template, I can lay out the curve cut for the seat piece and go back to the bandsaw. There are two minor differences between the end seat supports and these intermediate seat supports. Let me show you. The intermediate supports are just a little bit longer, and the tenons are slightly smaller. Now, once I've made those, the next thing to make are these front-to-back stretchers. The tenon at the front of each stretcher is a 90-degree tenon. The tenon at the back of each stretcher, 102 degrees. Now let's take a look at the front pieces. If I take this leg off, you can see that there's a tenon on the end of the seat support and the stretcher. They're the same on both ends. Now, in the center, there is a mortise in the stretcher, as well as a corresponding mortise in the seat support that receives the tenons from this short upright piece. The only difference between the top and bottom front pieces is that the upper piece has a mortise for the intermediate seat support. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you, and that's that this short vertical piece also has a mortise to receive the tenon from the short stretcher. The horizontal pieces at the back of the bench do not run all the way through. They intersect the center leg. The stretcher at the bottom has a tenon on each end. The seat support has a tenon on each end, plus a mortise for the intermediate seat support, and also a mortise down through the top to receive the tenon from this upright, which also has mortises up the edge to receive these back slats and a tenon at the top. All these mortises and tenons are made with the same methods I've already showed you.
Order a home video of the project you've just seen Norm build, complete with a measured drawing and materials list. Call toll-free 1-800-892-0110. The price is $24.95 plus shipping and handling. Get the measured drawing alone for only $10. The number again is 1-800-892-0110.
We always are excited about seeing each other. Things change when you have kids. I think when you've been with somebody for so long, there's not many surprises. We used to have lots of dates. But now, one day a week, sometimes twice a week, we definitely have to have a date. Sometimes I feel guilty about leaving the kids. Sounds crazy. I still find myself wanting to look really beautiful for him. What I'm going to wear has to make me feel good.
Charter Club Cashmere at Macy's.
Tired of carrying all that heady water around every time you vacuum the wet basement? Get the new Shop Vac QPV, the quiet vacuum that sucks water from one place and pumps it to another. Because you've got better things to do than lug water around. Shop Vac, the only thing more powerful is our name.
Bit by bit, bite by bite, gonna twist your noodle tonight. Introducing the Hamburger Helper Supreme line. Try new Italian Parmesan. Twist your noodle, change your mind.
The North Star system. Performance and technology that set Cadillac apart from every other luxury car in the world. Now experience the difference during the Cadillac Performance Drive with the 1999 DeVille, the world's only full-size luxury car with the power and agility of the North Star system. Now just $4.99 a month. A powerful way to set yourself apart during the Cadillac Performance Drive. See your Cadillac dealer today.
When you're looking for anything from gold bulbs to silver bells, stop in and see the folks in the Red Vest. They've got plenty of decorating and gift ideas to make your season bright. Holiday season or any season, Ace is the place for the helpful hardware folks.
Oh, good morning. I want to get started today by making the last of the mortises, and they're all in the decorative back piece. There are 4 little mortises for the armrest rungs. There's a mortise to pick up the back leg. There's another one over here which will pick up this vertical piece and this back slat. And there's another one at the very top for the center post. Let me show you how I make those. Because the backrest tips back at 10 degrees, the mortises will have to be angled. So I've made a block with a 10-degree slope to it, and I'm going to use a 1/2-inch brad point bit that I'll just bring up against the block, which will set the angle, square it up by eye, and drill a hole about 5/8 of an inch deep. Now I'll just square it up with a chisel. I've just adjusted my router to make the 3 remaining mortises. The router is set up with a 3/8-inch rabbiting bit, and that'll remove some of the material, but not all of it. Now, where the mortises are 3/4 of an inch wide, I have to make an adjustment to the router for a second pass. Now, using a drill with a piece of tape to give me the depth of the mortise, I'll remove some more material. Well, now just some sharp chisels to remove the rest of the material. Let's look at the slats. All the slats have the same cross-section. They're 1-inch square with rounded corners. The armrest slats have tenons that are 90 degrees at the front end, and at the back, they're cut at 10 degrees, which is the slope of the backrest. All the slats on the backrest have 90-degree tenons, with the following exceptions. This one has a standard tenon on one end, but an extended tenon to fit into the mortise of the decorative backrest. This one, again, has a standard tenon on this end, but at this end, there is no tenon. It's just fitted to the curve, and I'll secure that with a screw. This one has a long enough slope that I can secure it with a biscuit. And lastly, this one again is cut to the curve, and we'll secure it with a screw. Before I do any assembly, I want to round over some sharp edges on the front legs and on the decorative backrest. Working in a well-ventilated area, I want to clean all the joints before I glue them up using acetone, and that will remove any of the natural oil in the wood. I'm using a 1-part waterproof glue, applying it both to the tenon and the mortise, making sure that I evenly cover all gluable surfaces. Now, when you get the back of the bench all blown apart like this, you can see that there are too many pieces to try to glue everything all at once. So I'm just going to start with the bottom stretchers and rails. Here's that slat that's secured with a biscuit. Well, now it's time for the seat slats. No glue here, just screws. Now, each of these counter bores for the screws will be filled with a teak plug. And the excess trimmed off with a chisel. Now that the seat slats are installed and I have the bench turned up on its back, I'm going to remove the front assembly, which was never glued. Now, with glue on all the tenons, including the ones on the armrest slats, we can clamp it all together. Well, now we're getting down towards the end. This is one of the last 2 slats. And if you remember, this one is going to be secured with a screw. All right, finally, the end. Now we'll let it sit here and dry, and then we'll start looking for a place to set it in the garden. Well, I wouldn't dream of putting any kind of finish on this beautiful teak. Mother Nature will take care of that. In time, it'll turn a lovely silvery gray.